hmm I'm just looking at that power of the court again. Yeah. A court of the United States shall have the power to punish. Yeah. By fine or imprisonment at its discretion such contempt of its authority and none other as the misbehavior of any person in his presence. Yes. Oh, so or so near thereto as to obstruct the administration of justice. Now, just reading it again, this administration of justice, yes, it seems to be sorely missing. Poop. And I know the want of the kindness. Yes. Oh, well, there's this necessity. Yes. Your top secret confidentiality of all of those that are victims of domestic violence. Yeah. But then there's also the administration of justice. Ooh, where there's this idea that you do actually have to be impartial, yes, and a fair judiciary, yes. Now, administrative law, administrative interpretation, administration. What is it? It's administration of justice. Administration, the maintenance of right within a political community by means of the physical force of the state. The state's application of the sanction of force due to the rule of right. Due administration of justice. The proper functioning and integrity of a court. Yes. Or other tribunal and the proceedings before it in accordance with the rights guaranteed to the parties. Yes. Now, these rights that are guaranteed to the parties, yeah. hmm I was named as a party in court cases. Oh. And it seems that the court didn't really guarantee those rights. See, my wife petitioned for an order for protection, yes, based upon an arrest that took place on Guam. And you said that you didn't have to protect the rights, the guaranteed rights of the parties. Now, let's say this administration of justice is somewhat significant. Yes. That the proper functioning and the integrity of a court or other tribunal and the proceedings before it in accordance with the rights guaranteed to the parties. Yes. Now, as a respondent, I am guaranteed the right to appear in court. Yes. I'm guaranteed the right to answer any questions about what happened. Yes. And I don't have to explain to the judge, yes, why it is that the petitioner is accusing me of mental illness. See, this idea of the domestic violence and the child abuse, it really has to do with the actual action, yes, of either physical abuse, yes, mental abuse, or emotional abuse. But you've taken domestic violence and child abuse and turned it into a mental illness. Now we've done a lot of study on those that are domestic abusers and child abusers. In fact, I gave you a whole manual about that. And I don't fit the profile of a domestic abuser or a child abuser. See, I'm not getting worse. I'm not becoming more desperate. What I'm concerned with is that you're obstructing my right to sue you. Yes. Because you don't want to go to prison. Now, if I evaluated exactly what the police were experiencing, yes, you could be getting worse. See, on July 8th of 2011, you issued a temporary protection order. Yes. And I did read it when it was served on me on Guam. Yeah. And this whole big story about how I'm mentally ill. Now, for 10 years of marriage, I don't think my wife actually thought that. But for some reason, when going before a judge, yes, you don't have to guarantee any of these rights, yes, to each of the parties. You can just issue a court order based upon the false accusation. Yes, domestic violence. Oops. child abuse, and mental illness. Now, as I mentioned this morning, my wife is not a professional person. So it looks like there was no arrest in Washington state. Yes. There was no police officer. Yes. That observed any mental illness. Yes. There was no possible reason for you to issue a protection order. Now, this administration of justice, yeah, I'm wanting to sue you today. Yeah. And you're obstructing of my right to do that. I want you put in prison for it. Now, I emailed the sheriff, yes, the police department, and I thought that you were going to enforce my civil rights today. See, these guaranteed rights guaranteed to the parties. Yes, I'm guaranteed what's known as due process. Yes, that would be that you serve the individual, and then you have the court hearing, and you have proof of service. Yes, and for each and every allegation, yes, a mental illness, there requires some evidence of that. Poop. Now, we were living in the Guam Airport Hotel. Do you idiots understand physical, mental, and emotional abuse? Yes, is not the same as mental illness. And the accusation of mental illness, yes, because of my wife wanting me to look crazy when I'm not, yes, is a violation of the guaranteed rights of those that are parties. Now, I'll give you some mental illness. Yes, this is mentally ill. Poop. See this? Yes, not the same. Mm-mm. The issuance of a court order by a court commissioner that didn't require the petitioner to appear in court. Mental illness. Now, there is no possible way that you can issue a permanent protection order. Yes. Without notice and opportunity to the respondent. Yes. Because it is a right guaranteed to the parties. Yes. Now, every day that I tell you this, yes, he does. You made up some discretionary rule that you can obligate a mental health evaluation based upon the false accusation of domestic violence. Now you have the therapist evaluation of marriage reconciliation. Yeah. You have the stipulation in order from Guam. Yes. You have the expungement of the arrest and the court case on Guam. Yeah. And you're sitting there saying to yourselves, well, we don't have to enforce laws because we're going to keep ourselves out of prison. Where I'm sitting here saying you're going to go to prison, and I'll put every state trooper. Do you understand, Washington? Now get me the Washington State Patrol. Yes, because the idiots that have badges on, I want them put in prison. They're concealing felonies. Yes, they're aiding and abetting corrupt cops. So you get me Batiste? Yes. As that chief of the Washington State Patrol, the big 6'6" dog himself. Yeah, I want your whole state patrol put in prison. Now, I've sent over 3 million emails. Yes. And every day, I document, yes, that my rights are being violated. The rights of my sons are being violated. Yes. And you're enforcing fraud. And then you